Little Chute, Wisconsin. After every vacation, it got more difficult to come back to work. Kathleen Salinas looked at the long list of messages on her terminal and winced. Only 7 more months until she retired. Permanent vacation. She looked around the small office and wondered for the first time if she would miss it. The faux mahogany bookshelves held no place in her heart. They were cheap and artificial. Their contents, however, her hundreds of books, were a different matter. Mostly old volumes of case law, cases she'd dreamed of taking on in court, cases she'd never had the confidence to even think about taking on. Instead, she directed her legal skills towards wills and conveyancing, challenging the occasional parking ticket. Most of her colleagues could never understand how she could read the dry and painfully verbose tomes for pleasure, especially on paper when the entire collection was available electronically. But read and reread them she would. They would be leaving with her, and she smiled at the thought of them lining her shelves at home. She focused on that and started scrolling through the list looking for something vaguely inspiring. When that didn't work, she downgraded to vaguely interesting. It was an automatic notification from the legal nexus, one she'd set up a couple of years earlier. A client had paid extra to take care of her will and an important package they left behind. So she'd set up alerts on a dozen state, federal and international databases. This one had come in from the local registry of births, deaths and marriages. Someone had been searching for records on Amanda Ripley-mcclaren. Kathleen connected to the BDM over-monitoring matrix and quickly found access logs pertaining to the search. The username of the searcher gave no details to their identity, so the next best thing was the terminal ID where they'd logged in. The GWS prefix for the terminal serial number didn't ring any bells. Too many characters for any of the UA states or provinces. While she was mentally scrolling through countries starting with G, the location appeared on the terminal. Gateway Station. 31 hours later. Kathleen had only been into space once before and she didn't enjoy it. A vacation to Olympia on the moon 15 years ago. Her stomach had never felt quite right in artificial gravity. She was never sick, just queasy enough for it to be constantly uncomfortable and rob her of any appetite. Stepping through the airlock, she didn't feel any upset in her stomach this time, much the same as the shuttle. Technology must have improved somewhat. What she did feel was tired and dirty. The closest spaceport to Little Chute was in Chicago, which meant a drive to Milwaukee, then a flight, before she even boarded a shuttle, plus hours of transfers in between. And what time zone was Gateway even on again? She passed through customs without incident and headed in the direction of the loading docks. 2 years earlier. Hi Mom. It feels strange addressing you as if you're still alive, but my heart tells me that you're out there somewhere and one day you'll see this. I'm not leaving this message to tell you that I forgive you. There is nothing to forgive. When you didn't come home, I was angry for a long time. I thought you put your job ahead of me. As I got older, I found out that was wrong. You took those long hauls for me. The company looked after me, got me into good schools, even gave me a job, which worked out for a while. My relationship with Paul was less successful. We lost touch sometime after I left for college and never saw each other again. I got married. He was a good man. Sadly, I've left you no grandchildren. There were some experiences I had that really turned me off the idea. Mom, I really need you to know that I never stopped looking for you. I studied astrocartography to try and work out where you might have disappeared, even chartered ships to check locations where I thought you might be, but I ran out of money. And now I've run out of time. Another reason you don't have grandchildren is that I couldn't have children. I've been riddled with cancers for years. They think that it was maybe something to do with orbiting a gas giant in a pressure suit with inadequate radiation shielding for a couple of days. The doctors always managed to remove them and I've had a lot of synthetic replacements, including a uterus, but it didn't take. I've been clear for 10 years, but they just found it's come back. Pancreas this time. They still haven't nailed that one. I've got maybe a few months. I'm due to be spending Christmas with some old friends, so that's keeping me going for now. There's so much more to tell, but not on an unencrypted file. I'm sorry we missed each other, but I'll know you'll see this eventually. It's like the song you used to sing me when I was small. Love you, Mum. Someone using the network terminal. The chief stevedore was called Nathan. Whether it was his first name or surname, Kathleen wasn't sure. She explained her situation to the chief and pointed out a network ID stamped on the unit which matched her records. It sat on a small desk in the corner of the employee break room. It was an old model and coated with a layer of dust. Doesn't look like it's been used in years, Kathleen noted. It probably hasn't. It was installed about 6 years ago as part of an enterprise bargaining agreement. Got used for about 5 minutes before people went back to using their own devices. Kathleen showed Nathan the printout of access logs she'd brought from home. Someone accessed this machine nearly 2 weeks ago. Are there any logs kept? Nathan logged in and found the usage records. You're right. Someone did use it on that date, but they were using the generic anonymous account. Unless you want to dust it for fingerprints, Nathan chuckled. Kathleen sighed and looked around the room absently, pondering the dead end. That was when she noticed the closed-circuit camera. Please tell me your CCTV works. Chief Nathan found the date and fast-forwarded to the appropriate time. A dark-haired woman entered frame, ignoring her co-workers, and sat at the network terminal. She typed away for about 10 minutes before lighting a cigarette and leaving. Can you tell who that is? Kathleen asked. It's not exactly high definition. Nathan laughed. We don't have many women working the docks, and only one that tall. That's Ellen Ripley. Kathleen sat speechless. Are you okay? The chief queried. Did you say Ellen Ripley? Yeah. Why? She started a few weeks back. Quiet, but a good worker. Always on time, always pulled her weight. Class 2, I think. How old was she? I don't know. Late 20s? Early 30s, maybe? I think her file said she was a tug jockey. Kathleen pulled out a file. She flicked through it until she found Amanda Ripley's personnel record from her time working with Weyland-Yutani. On it was listed the names of her parents. She pointed at Ellen Ripley's date of birth. January 7, 2092. Nah, it's got to be a misprint. No way she's in her 80s. Do you know where I can find her? Can't help you, I'm afraid. She was living in Habitat H, but she messaged saying she was quitting. The company had picked up her commercial flight licence and she was going to be off-world for a while. When was this? Has she left yet? Don't know. Hang on. Nathan checked his messages. Says here to forward any correspondence through the company, Space Division, care of Carter Burke. The executive assistant either couldn't or wouldn't give anything away. I'm afraid Mr. Burke is off-world at present. When is he due back? Kathleen queried. At least 6 weeks. Probably longer, but I don't have an exact date. Kathleen regarded the bored-looking EA for a moment as she considered leaving the package, but thought better of it. Would you like to leave details and I'll ask Mr. Burke to contact you when he returns? No, Kathleen said. I'll take care of it. Epilog. The video tablet had large cracks in its screen, and dust had worked its way in, making the image even worse. The battery no longer held a charge, and only carefully jiggling of the mains cord got it to stay powered on. Long fingers with black nails tapped in a passcode. The black wasn't an aesthetic choice. It wasn't a choice at all. LUCKYSTAR. Ripley Ellen, Lieutenant First Class, 36706, stared at the screen. The old woman in the image smiled back. Ripley had a recollection of the old woman's face. She'd seen it once, a long time ago. There were gaps. But now it looked different. Thinner. Gaunt. But it was smiling nonetheless. Hi, Mum. You'll never guess what happened to me.